Did anyone else catch the Coach Spring 2024 Runway fashion show? I watched it live on their Instagram account. That's where they aired it this year. And while I was watching, I took screenshots and I took notes. And in this video, we're going to discuss the bags that they revealed, the limited edition buy now bags that they released for sale during the fashion show, and we'll discuss the protesters who crashed the show. Did you hear about that? You're gonna want to know, so stay tuned. Hi YouTube, Autumn Beckman here. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. My channel is all about luxury living on a budget, from high-end luxury handbags and small goods to the everyday luxuries of life. If that sounds interesting to you, please make sure you subscribe. Click the bell notification icon to be notified when I post new videos, and be sure to like the videos that you enjoy. And one of the perks of subscribing to my channel is you get to see my community post on your YouTube homepage, where I post deals, discount codes, sales, and rare finds related to these beautiful things we love. So yeah, the Coach Runway show for Spring 24 was crashed by protesters. That was really interesting. I'm going to talk more about that at the end of the video, but first we're going to talk about the buy now bags that they released during the show, some of which may still be available for sale. And of course I'll have those linked below in case you're interested. I may have picked one up, and Winnie LV may also have picked one up, and we may just have a collaboration coming soon revealing those bags and comparing them, because we got different versions of the bag and different colors. So stay tuned for that in an upcoming video. So we'll talk about that, and then we'll talk about the 4 different categories of bags that walked the runway, and then we'll talk about those pesky protesters. I will be putting some images up here of the bags that I'm talking about. Some of them are obviously going to be from the Coach website, from the listings of the bags that were released. Some are going to be pictures from the runway. Now, some of those are screenshots that I took. Others I got from a website that I'll have linked below, so you can check that out and see who took them, and, you know, citing references and all that stuff. And then some of them are also Coach promotional photographs that have been in Coach materials, like their Instagram, things like that. So let's start with what they call the buy now bags. So Coach has a history, and I'm not super familiar with this, so I'm just going to tell you what I do know about it, or what I understand about it anyway. Coach has a history of, when they have a runway show, they will release like one bag, maybe different versions of one bag, on their website, available for purchase during the show or until it sells out. And this is a bag that walks that runway show, so you get early access to that bag before it's released a season or 2 later. The first time I ever heard about this was, I'm trying to remember which show it was. It might have been Spring Summer 23. It was whichever one they showed those tabby messenger bags. You remember those? And if I remember correctly, those were not available for sale online. They were only available at these little pop-ups in New York City. So you had to happen to be in New York City, where of course Coach is located, to be able to get any kind of access to those bags. For this release, they did release the bags online, so they were available for anyone to get, but they're also very limited release. So the bag they released with this collection is the quilted Coach tabby bag. They released 3 versions of it, and in 3 different colors, and then 1 print. So there's a black bag, a pink bag, a lavender bag, and then like an off-white with little lipstick kisses all over it. And then the 3 versions of the bag were a size 26 centimeter, a 20 centimeter. Those are both shoulder bags with straps that adjust to crossbody. And they released what they call a wristlet, but it also had a crossbody chain with it. That one can't be worn shoulder unless you put a different strap on it. And that strap is removable. The other 2, the shoulder bags, not removable. They were very limited editions depending on which bag it was. If you go on the website and look at the listings, it tells you how many they released. And based on what I saw, it was between 25 bags and 50 bags. Some of those are already sold out. And again, I will have those linked below, so if there is anything you're interested in and they're still available, go grab it, because they won't come back in stock until potentially the Spring 24 release, which won't be until next year. And even then, the exact same bags may not be released then. I'm going to talk more about that later, how they change some things up between the runway bags and the bags that are actually released. For example, that tabby messenger bag on the runway, they were very floppy leather. The ones that they released at those pop-ups, the interior was suede. It was just the other side of the leather. But then when they released those bags in the store drop for everybody, they didn't release all the same sizes and all the same colors, and the interior was no longer suede. It had a fabric lining, which a lot of people complained about and didn't like so much. I certainly preferred those bags with the suede inside. And I've already seen some differences between the Runway bags and the ones they released in this by now. So again, we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Okay, on the Runway, they showed 4 different categories of bags that I saw. The first were these giant oversized totes, almost triangular shaped, almost a beach bag shape, where they're really small at the bottom and then they flare out on the top. It was difficult to get really good images of these for a few reasons. On the Runway, when I was taking screenshots, a lot of the angles that they showed were of the person walking straight on, so you could see the outfit. Of course, we're not talking about the outfits in this video, just the bags. And because of that, and because of the way they're holding the bags over their shoulder or handheld down to their side, you really only saw the side of the bag and not so much the front for most of them. But Coach does have some promotional images that they released where you can see the bags a little bit better. But another thing they did in this Runway show, which has become a trend at a lot of shows lately, not just with Coach, is that the models were carrying multiple bags. So they might have one over the shoulder and one handheld, or they may have, usually when they had that oversized tote, they had another smaller tote on top of it in the same hand. So that was covering the handles on the giant tote. So we couldn't see those very well, but those, it looks like, based on what I can see, those are just 2 little handheld handles. I'm not sure if it has any kind of shoulder strap that maybe detaches or is in the interior of the bag. Who knows? We couldn't see very well. But these bags are enormous, and I think they're kind of a weird size. I think they were all in neutral colors, like blacks, creams, browns. So for me, personally, those were a miss, but I know that the oversized bags are also kind of a thing right now. So we'll see. I wish them well, but we'll see how successful that is. Personally, I really prefer the Ray tote that they do have available on the Coach website right now. I will link that below too. I think those are beautiful. They're kind of similar in shape to these oversized bags, but more practical, and they look like they're really well made. The second category of bag that I saw a whole lot of on the Runway were what I'm going to call bowler bags. So they have 2 top handles. I don't remember seeing any that had a longer strap or a detachable strap. They were flat on the bottom and then a domed top. There were some that were more north-south, where they're a little taller, and some a little more east-west, where they're a little wider. Like the oversized tote, these all appeared to be in leather, and I saw a lot of neutrals, but I also did see a couple of colors. I saw a forest green, I saw a brighter green, I think there was a yellow, maybe a burgundy. Now, personally, these bags are not my style, and they seem really plain, but I don't know. What do you guys think? Is that something that appeals to you? Is that a style of bag that you would consider? The third category of bags that I saw were a repeat from a previous show. They were the shape bags. So you see I've got the Rexy up here behind me that I recently was able to add to my collection. That was from the first drop of shape bags from the Fall 23 collection. The comments and commentary I've seen on social media regarding these bags are, a lot of people just hate them and think they're insane and really weird. Some people like them, but there are things holding them back, like they didn't want patent leather, or they didn't want the signature CCs, or they wanted solid colors instead of the Cs. So what was interesting in this show is that most of the shape bags I saw were in leather, but it was quilted. Some solid colors, and some even the coated canvas with the signature CC quilted. In this category, I saw 4 different shapes. There was a bow, and you may remember from the Fall 23 collection that there was a dog bone, and that one never got released. So this bow is very similar. I'd prefer the dog bone, but what are you gonna do? There were lips, which were also released in this collection. There was a heart, also released in this collection, but again, in different leathers and colors. And I don't remember if this one was part of the 23 collection. There was a duck, like a little rubber ducky type duck. Very cute. I suspect that will be the most popular one if and when it's released. And these, of course, came in a variety of colors, some neutral and then some more bright and colorful. Because, you know, they're fun bags and it's spring summer. And then the fourth category of bag that I saw, probably guessed, were the quilted tabbies. Now, I will say, let's talk about the quilted tabby on the runway versus the one they released in the buy now that's available online. They weren't the same. I thought that was interesting. There are two main differences that I saw. One is the color of the hardware. The bags on the runway, they had a brassy gold hardware, whereas the buy now are all silver hardware. That's one of the things that attracted me to the buy now. The other big difference I saw is that in the runway show, these bags were primarily carried on the shoulder of the models, and the straps were leather, and the color of the leather matched the color of the bag. So if it was green, it was a green leather strap and a green bag, or a blue leather strap and a blue bag. Whereas in the buy now, the straps were all silver chains. On the tabby 26 and 20, the silver chain has leather running through it, just like on Chanel bags. And on the wristlet, it's just a chain with no leather, and then it had a little leather wristlet strap. But none of the buy nows have a leather strap. So these are some things that I'm really curious, once the full collection drops in actually spring 24 next year, I'm curious whether these buy now bags will be the same ones they release later, or if the ones they release in the spring will be the ones with the leather strap that are more similar to the runway. Or will it be something in between, or something totally different? Who knows? Who knows? You know, these companies, sometimes they show us things in the runway that they never even release, and then other times they do different versions of what they tell you they're gonna do. And that seems to be the norm with these fashion houses, although it feels a little bit like false advertising sometimes, doesn't it? Especially when you see something that you fall in love with, and then you get your hopes up and your expectations, and maybe you've been saving up for it, and then it finally drops, and it's not what they had promised, and it's a big letdown. But sometimes it's even better. So we'll see. I was really happy with some of the features of the buy now bags. Like, I really like the look of the leather straps that they had on the runway, and I think that may be more comfortable. But I also loved the chains, especially the ones with the leather running through them, because that feels more elevated, a little dressier. So we'll see. Like I said, keep an eye out for those videos from me and Winnie. Once those bags come in, we're going to show them to you as soon as we can, and we'll see. Now, let's talk about the protesters. When I was watching the live, it was shot in a way where it was very tight. We didn't really see any wide shots of the room. It was just, and it was quick cuts back and forth, so it was hard to tell what was going on. They mostly just showed tight shots of the models walking toward you. Every once in a while, they'd show them turning a corner. That was pretty much it. At one point, there was a model coming down the runway who was in, I couldn't tell if it was like a mesh suit or if it was body paint, but it looked like an outfit that was just the muscular system. And then it said something across the body that I couldn't quite make out because the video was kind of fuzzy. It said something about coach leather, and then there was another word that I couldn't read. I go back the next day to try to find some more pictures and information on this show and the collection. Lo and behold, that person was not a model after all. They were a protester, and it turned out there were other people there protesting too. The person in, I'll call it the meat outfit, very Lady Gaga reminiscent. What it said was Coach Leather Kills, and that person at some point in the middle of the show just got up from their seat in the audience and got on the runway with the models and started walking with the models and was allowed to walk for quite a while. I don't know whatever happened to her in the end. But then there was another person in the audience who had a poster that said Coach Leather Kills, and at the bottom it said PETA. Y'all know PETA. People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, right? I did see video from a few different angles today when I was researching this, and it did show that the meat suit model, she was walking down the runway, and then the person with the sign got on the stage and walked right with her. And this was not an elevated stage, by the way. It was like everybody's on the same floor. And at one point, the person with the sign got tackled by security and removed, but I never saw what happened to the meat outfit person. And it seems like protests like this, not necessarily PETA, but protests in public settings, public events, particularly when there is media on them and they know that there are going to be people watching online or wherever. Seems like these have become more common lately. Have you noticed that, or am I making that up in my head? I know I heard of one the other day at a tennis match, and then I know there have been some at political events as well, or even, gosh, I don't remember now the circumstances, but it seems like in the past few years, there have been things in Congress, and you can sit up in the balcony in Congress and there have been protesters up there. So what do you guys think of that? I feel like I have a little bit of mixed feelings. Like, I feel like hooray for them. They have really strong beliefs in something and they're standing up for those beliefs, and protesting is a very pro-American thing. And as long as it's non-violent protest, nobody's getting hurt, I think, okay, good for them. However, I feel like if I was the designer at Coach at an event like this, I might feel a little differently if I just put a whole bunch of time and effort into creating this collection and this show, and then it gets crashed by protesters, and that's a lot of what people are talking about instead of the collection itself, maybe. So yeah, a little bit of mixed feelings there, but I'd love to hear what you guys think about that. Also love to hear what you think of this bag collection. What stands out to you as something that you would consider buying? What is something that you feel like, what were they thinking? Have you picked up one of those buy now bags? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope it was informative and helpful for you. And I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye.